Id light dream a reality.
That's good. Today we're going to talk about some important tips to improve our speaking skill. As you know, speaking is one of the most important skills that we need to improve. We need to work on it in order to get better chances in job interviews and job applications. Why? Because for the first time when you want to apply for a job, they will evaluate your speaking and you will leave your first impression by the speaking that you have. So that skill, which is speaking, is quite important. And it's one of the big dreams among all the English learners to have a good speaking, yeah? Today we're going to talk about some tips to improve our speaking. So first, as you know that a language has 4 skills. The first one is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So these are the 4 skills in a language. What do you think? Which one is the most important skill for learning a new language? Is it listening? Is it reading, writing, or speaking? Which one can have a big contribution to learning a new language? The answer would be quite different. You may think that listening, reading, writing, but actually the very first skill that is very important for learning a new language is listening. Why? Because of 2 reasons. First, as you know, we divide the English or any other language skills into 2 parts. One, we have the input skills, and the other we have the output skills. So here, when we think of input skills, we talk about listening and reading. When we talk about input skills, we talk about writing and speaking. Now, suppose you have a machine, something like this. You have a machine here. So this part is the input. Yeah. This is the engine. And the last part would be the output. So think of it. If we don't have input, do we have output? We need input to have output. So as you know, listening and reading are the input skills. So we need to have that listening in order to have a good speaking. Got it? So the first reason that listening is important for learning a new language and improving the speaking section of that language is because it is an input skill. The second reason is back to our childhood story. As you were a small child and you didn't know any grammar vocabulary, but you learned that mother tongue quite well. You can speak that without any hesitation nowadays. No pauses there. Although you don't know any grammar. What is the reason? The reason is that we learn that through listening. We learn that through listening. We listen to our family members. We listen to the environment, the people around us. And we acquired the skill to speak. We don't need grammar. We don't need vocabulary in that section. Why? That was listening. So learning through listening is one of the most important tips. So let's start with the very first tip. The first tip would be tip number 1. Tip number 1. Listen a lot. Listen a lot. Very simple, yeah? But very powerful. If you want to improve your speaking, you need to listen a lot. But is it that much simple to listen to any kind of English and you improve your English? If you are in an elementary level and you listen to very advanced level of English, that would not be quite effective on your English. What should we do? We need to have a criteria for that. So the criteria for having a good and suitable listening, that is the listening that you listen for the first time and you understand 70% of that. That's a good listening for you. So use easy listenings, use easy audios and videos to improve your speaking through listening. The thing that we understand, first tip, listen a lot, listen to easy English, and listen to English that when you listen for the first time, you understand 70% of that. The other thing, you need to listen that for several times. You need to listen to the listening for several times in order to improve your speaking. 10 times, 20 times, 30 times. Okay? That's more better. So, that's the tip number 1. Let's move on to tip number 2. Tip number 2 for improving your speaking, for improving any part, especially speaking, you need to have a good mindset. The way you think, yeah, the way you believe, the way you feel about something, about English, about speaking. If you believe that speaking is something difficult, and I'm not able to learn it, I'm not able to speak that much fluently, you will not be able to learn it. Why? Because you have blocked your mind. You have locked your mind, and you have emphasized, you have said to your mind that it is impossible for me, it is difficult for me. So you will not start learning that speaking easy. Okay? So easy learning of speaking is setting your mind. Is possible through setting your mind. You need to set your mind in order to improve your speaking. So have a positive attitude toward speaking, toward anything in life, especially speaking. We're talking about speaking now, yeah? So that's number 2. Number 3, tip 3. Did you think that just thinking about something which is, it is easy and I'm gonna learn it very well would be enough? Of course not. We need to take action. We need to do something. We need to practice. So, listen a lot. Set your mind. Have a positive mindset. After that, start practicing. Take action and practice. That way, you will start improving your speaking gradually, step by step. Not once, not very quickly, but gradually, step by step. Yeah? So there are many sayings about practice, especially one saying from Bruce Lee, which is quite impressive. That is the saying which says, I'm not afraid of that opponent who knows thousands of techniques. I'm afraid of that opponent who practiced one technique 1,000 times. That opponent is going to be dangerous, yeah? Powerful and strong. So this practice is quite important. Listen a lot, have a positive mindset, and practice. Take action, yeah? And the last tip that can contribute to the speaking skill is going to be vocabulary. Vocabulary, like bricks for a wall. For building a wall, we need bricks. For building sentences, for speaking in a language, we need words. Okay? So work on vocabulary. Yeah? Vocabulary is key. So how about dividing this into 2 parts? As many students ask me that when I want to learn vocabulary, that is not possible for me. I learned a list of them, but when I want to speak, it is vanished. I don't know anything about that. I cannot remember that. We divide vocabulary into 2 parts. We say we have active vocabulary and we have passive vocabulary. Active vocabulary are those words that you can remember anytime, anywhere you want. Suppose think of the word car. Car is a word that was repeated for several times during your life. Now whenever you say car, you remember that car, a vehicle. But if you learn a new word, you don't repeat that enough, and after a while you forget that, or the time that you want to speak, it's not there, it's gone. That is your passive vocabulary. So the best way to improve your vocabulary is to work on your passive vocabulary and change it to active vocabulary. And again, it returns back to practice. Yeah, you can practice that for several times to change that passive vocabulary to active vocabulary. To wrap up this discussion here, we talked about tips and tricks that we can improve our speaking. The first and very important thing is listening. Second, having a good and positive mindset. Third, we need to practice. And the fourth, to work on vocabulary, active vocabulary and passive vocabulary. That's all for today. Hope you all learned something here. If there is any question, you could ask. No? Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Id you like dream a reality?